Transport Minister Fikile Mbalula has vowed to tackle corruption at the country's licensing centres. Mbalula believes the latest proposed laws are the first step in the right direction. The minister saying fake driving schools and roadworthy certificates being issued without vehicles being tested are just some of the challenges that they face. So let's bring in Robert Chandler, who is Managing Director at the Southern African Institute of Driving Instructors. Robert, thanks very much indeed for coming on so early this Tuesday. Of course, the minister is talking about the National Road Traffic Amendment Bill. As far as you know, just some of the changes that he's hoping to make to try and curb corruption. What do you make of them?
Yeah, Michelle, thanks for the invite. Firstly, I just want to say to the advocate and his SIU team, congratulations. It's about time somebody did something. We've been screaming for something like this for so long, but the problem is the minister is a little bit misguided. When it comes to corruption and driving licenses, he's constantly pointing a finger at the driving instructors. Are they corrupt instructors? Of course they are. Mm-hmm. But the biggest problem that we have is that if there wasn't a guy that was selling a license, we wouldn't have somebody that would be coming and paying for it. Now, if we have a look at what he talks about, and that is everything in that press release of his, just points a massive fat finger at a failure of his NATIS system. NATIS is a problem. It's full of loopholes, it's full of patches, and it allows itself, it lends itself to corruption. Now, you have one corrupt official, you're going to have everybody coming in buying licenses, and unfortunately, I don't think they're heading in the right direction to curb corruption with driving licenses. False driving licenses, I don't think we can talk about false licenses anymore. We need to talk about illegally issued licenses, because the license is valid, it's on the system. If you stop a guy, he can't drive a car, he's never been able to drive a car, but you'll be able to find on the system a valid issued license. It's illegally issued to the guy, irregularly issued. So the system is a problem. Let him start fixing the problem. He's mooted a national inspectorate, which he says is going to solve the problem. Firstly, it's going to shove the price of a driving license way up, because those inspectorates have to be paid for by somebody, and is once again going to be the South African consumer, because they're going to charge the instructors for that inspectorate, and it's going to come back, and it's going to be pushed out across to the consumer again. I mean, Robert, so no, I don't agree with this inspectorate story.
You're obviously talking about the Special Investigating Unit and the fact that it's now tabled some of its findings, right? But it has until March of next year to complete its investigation into corruption at testing centres. What makes the system so open to corruption, Robert?
The system, it's basically the way it's designed. It relies on the unrealistic belief that your official that has access to the NATIS system is going to be corruption-free 100% of the time. It's an impossible expectation. So you can get one corrupt official. He can create an entire network. He can create an industry. We need the officials to have lifestyle audits. We need to check these guys that are turning up a driving license examiner, turning up at a testing center with a Mercedes-Benz sports car. These are the guys, lifestyle audits, retrain the examiners, put a term limit on their accreditation, make them come back, get qualified, make them basically stand accountable for the licenses they issue. Link it to accidents, because that is what is happening. This corruption is fueling our accidents and our death rate on the roads.
Accountability. That's how we get to the bottom. Like with so many other issues of corruption in our country, it's about checks and balances and about accountability. And you've already in part answered my next question, which is, what are the impacts of corruption at driver's license testing centres? Vehicles that are getting licenses without the actual vehicle being there for an inspection. Driver's licenses, as you say, that are not fake, because they can be found on the system, but that driver has never actually been for a test or taken any driving lessons, for example.
No, exactly. This is the thing that is so frustrating. We have, for the last couple of years, we've had this finger being pointed at the driver training industry. I've been on both sides. I've been head of a licensing authority. I've been in the traffic college training examiners, and I'm now in my sort of semi-retirement running the Southern African Institute of Driving Instructors. It's the instructor is never considered. They come up with all these rules and laws, but they don't approach the industry. And this is our biggest frustrating thing. They sit there, they have these bureaucrats making laws, making regulations, but the problem lies within the halls of the bureaucrats. The same failed bureaucrats that have been running this NATO system for the last 30 years are the guys that are sitting there and should actually take a bow and say, we've messed up the licensing system in South Africa. We've come up with these decisions. Forget about the minister. I feel sorry for the minister because he relies on these entrenched bureaucrats. And that is where our problem lies. These same old guys that have been there for so long, they've been messing it up all along, and yet they get another chance, another bite of the cake to come out and tell us how great they are and how they're going to solve corruption. It's not going to happen.
I mean, despite the work being done by the SIU and the incredible findings in that report that's already been tabled, part of that report, before it's finalized next year, it does sound like it's incredibly entrenched, as you say, and it's going to be really difficult to get to the bottom of it and overhaul the system entirely. I mean, what do we do then?
It's not that difficult, to be honest. They just got to change the mindset. You know, for example, we can even go further and we can talk about the standard. The minister talks about the standard of driving instructors. Let's look at the standard of the examiners in this country. An examiner gets qualified in 1990 to do a driving license test. And there he goes away. There's no continuous personal development. There's no reassessment. This guy is still today testing with the same old entrenched ideas from 1990. Let's fix the examining lot. Let's fix this. Let's fix the system. There's this blind reliance on NATOs. And I know why they hang on to NATOs. Because they spent billions of rands involved with NATOs. But fix it. Stop trying to go back and sort of get some more life out of a dead horse. This thing's died.
I suppose, Robert, sorry to interrupt you there. You know, the other issue that we've been talking about, and the President mentioned it in his address to the nation on Sunday, insofar as corruption in our country is concerned, is that we need protection for whistleblowers. There needs to be encouragement for people who know about the rot to come forward and to feel protected when they do so.
You know the problem with, and I'm still talking specifically driving licenses, you don't need whistleblowers. It's so entrenched, it's institutionalized. It's out there. You can walk into any testing center, go to the first guy that's standing at the gate and says, do you want a license? And he's going to sit there and he's going to tell you how to buy your license. You want a professional driving permit? He's going to tell you how to do it. It's institutionalized. It's there. You can just walk in and do a little undercover operation. You walk in, you take half the testing center out. There's no need. Yes, I do understand with the other stuff. But, you know, when you walk in and you look, and I'm going to say this openly now, 60% of driving license testing centers in this country don't meet requirements in terms of law. Sure. Let's not get into roadworthy testing centers where you have a testing center that we've got a national inspectorate and we've got 9 provincial inspectorates. They go around, they're meant to go and visit these places. You walk into the place, the brake machine. Now, this is a huge machine. It's not something small. It doesn't work. The brake test machine doesn't work. But that testing center is allowed to carry on. We have a testing center for driving licenses that doesn't comply with the basic rules of the National Road Traffic Act. The examiners, I can tell you there's a few I can point out. And I've actually gone into the managers and I've said to them, guys, your testing center doesn't meet the requirements. And the guys look at me and I tell them what the requirement is. And the guys look at me, and this testing center was approved in 1993. And to date, it still doesn't meet the requirement. Sure. And it's not something that requires rocket science or a whistleblower. It requires something like the National Inspectorate to stop being a paper tiger, to get a couple of teeth and to follow up. The provincial inspectorates need to get out there, out from behind their desks, and actually go and do their work.
Sure. So the Minister telling us and giving us assurances that they are making headway in uprooting corruption at driver's license testing centres. You're telling us a completely different story. Robert, let's hope that the Ministry is in discussion with people like you to try and truly get to the bottom of corruption at our testing centres. For now, Robert, thanks very much indeed for joining us. As we continue to track this story, Robert Chandler is the Managing Director of the Southern African Institute of Driving Instructors. Fikile Mbalula saying just yesterday that his department is getting to the bottom of graft. Well, those in the industry tell a completely different story.